In Nigeria, community policing by vigilante groups play a significant role in enhancing local security and safety. Now, these groups often consist of community members who volunteer to patrol their neighborhoods, working closely with local law enforcement agencies. Vigilante groups in Nigeria aim to complement the efforts of the police by providing additional eye and ears on the ground, especially in areas where law enforcement's presence may be limited. Hello and welcome to Insight Today. I am Jumai Manson. I am being joined by Mr. Chris Olyakilome Anori, Special Squad Commander on Human Trafficking and Kidnapping, Vigilante Group of Nigeria, VGN. Stay tuned, the program continues shortly. You're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Insight Today on Global Television. And today we're going to be looking at Vigilante Group and, of course, how they enhance community policing in our environment. And like I said, I am being joined by Mr. Chris Olyakilome. Good afternoon. Thank you for being a part of Insight Today.
Good afternoon, Madam Jumai.
It's great to have you. Now, explain to us, Vigilante Groups, what do they entail? Tell us a bit about them. For someone out there who's wondering, are they still around, Vigilante? Are they still effective? Tell us just a little brief about the Vigilante Group.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the program.
You're welcome.
The Vigilante Group is a concept of Obasanjo administration in 1999 when we saw the return of democracy. So what necessitated it was the challenges, security challenges, bewailing the country as at that time. There was this issue of lack of trust of information. And even when the security agencies were getting the informations, they could not rely completely on it. So, as a result, the government of that time felt the need to have community policing. So the Vigilante Group is like a voluntary organization, though does not enjoy the constitutional backing of the government presently, but is recognized by the government.
All right. Now, you've spoken about the brief of Vigilante Group. Now, how do Vigilante Groups collaborate with local law enforcement agencies in the community policing effort?
Yeah, like I said, it's a symbiotic relationship. You give me, I give you. Just like husband and wife.
True.
The security agencies seems to be the husbands. In the community, they are expected to work hand in hand with the police, with the civil defense, with the NAP teams, with DSS and all of that, availing informations to this security agency.
Okay.
So as at today, let me use a case of Nasarawa as a case study. Nasarawa is structured in a way that you have the state, you have the local government, you have the ward, you have the community. The community are the unit. These people are supposed to report whatever they are doing back to the police, the DSS, and the civil defense. So all the activities of Vigilante Group of Nigeria are closely monitored by the security agencies. We work hand in hand. Sometimes when they have operation, they have the need, they will invite us. We join them. They can call a unit or a commander, we need 10 men to carry out certain operation. So it is now left on us, the vigilante, to provide such men. Like, for example, you saw what is happening in Maraba. And that effort, the sanity that returns to Maraba now, is as a result of the joint effort of the Nigerian police, the DSS, the civil defense, and the vigilante.
All right, talking about when you are called, you join up and all of that. Now, what trainings and qualifications do the vigilante members have for their policing roles? Do they have, let's talk about their qualifications, for instance. Are they NCE holders? Are they graduates? And then the training in which they've had in order to embark on such security roles in the society.
Yeah, we are in Nigeria. We know even the police, one of the major challenges they have is unqualified men, recruiting unqualified men. But when police recruit unqualified men, what do? They send them for training. It is the training that equip them to carry out the policing job. It's the same thing with the vigilante group. It's a voluntary organization. Once you volunteer yourself, it is the responsibility of the organization to provide you with the necessary training. We have trainings with the DSS, with the police, with the civil defense. And we have equally internal training, which takes place every Friday, every Thursday, 4 o'clock. So every unit is supposed to organize a training, invite DSS, invite the military to enhance efficiency of operation.
Now let us look at accountability and transparency in the vigilante operations. Let's look at that briefly. How does that, how do they ensure this accountability and transparency in their operations?
Yeah, what we do, we have a structure. We have the national body, we have the state, we have the local government. So there will be a reporting. All your activity, for example, if there is a case in my unit, what am I supposed to do? First of all, intimate the police. Immediately they bring the case to you, call the police, call the DSS, call the civil defense. Let them know about it. As you are carrying out investigation, you are sending report. If it is a matter that you refer to civil defense, they will advise you. If it is a matter you can handle, they will advise you. If it is a matter you hand over to police immediately. Once it's a criminal matter, you take the matter straight to the police.
You know, a friend of mine, I was talking about this particular topic, and she said, well, for her, most of these vigilante individuals are just some of them that they actually employ in this volunteering work, like you say, are individuals who are like miscreants, they are rough, they are rugged, they are not, they don't have, now you're telling us that there is a structure when it comes to the vigilante organization. How true is that you just pick any random individual who is passionate about security, who is just doing it because he wants to, but at the long run, he has bad intent? How true is that?
Yeah, let me use my unit.
Okay.
Personally, I wasn't interested in joining the vigilante group. I wanted to set it up so that we can address the security challenges of my estate. But in a bit setting up the vigilante, I began to meet responsible men, and I was encouraged to join. I discovered that there are structures that can have you polished to be fit to carry out the job effectively. So despite the fact you have miscreant, I can assure you that there is a restructuring of vigilante group today. Very shortly, you'll be seeing qualified, polished men on the street who are carrying out this job.
Okay. Now, talking about qualified men, let's talk about weaponry now. When there is insecurity in a particular area, that you talked about your estate now and some other places where there's insecurity, how do you go about it? How do you get your weapons? What do you do when you see armed robbers? What do you do?
Yes, like I said on the onset, the vigilante group does not have presently the constitutional backing, but enjoy the backing of the government. So as such, they are allowed to carry locally fabricated arms.
Okay.
But those locally fabricated arms must be registered, must be documented with the DSS and the police. So you carry out your operation in tandem with the DSS and the police. They know all what you are doing. You give account to them. And once there is crime, like an example, close to my estate, last month on the 16th, there was an armed robbery incident. They call us. Instantly, we deploy our men, and we equally call the DPO. He sent his men, But before his men could get to the incident, our men was already there because of closeness of the proximity. So we were able to ward off the armed robbers because we are on ground. The police are a little bit far off.
Now, of course, I've seen situations whereby when individuals, I think it's very common, when you start mixing with governors, presidents, senators, a common man would think in his mind he's already a governor, a senator. He might even want to walk like a governor. He might even want to talk like a senator and all of that. Now, what measures are in place to prevent vigilante groups from overstepping their authority?
Yes, I will still use my unit as a case study. The kudos to the director of DSS, Cairo local government. He has done so much for us, both moral and institutional support to have the vigilante group refined. So coming to behavior of individuals, we have structure in place, structure we put in place. So knowing that there is a benefit accrued to your volunteerism, you will certainly not want to do certain things.
Okay. Now let's look at the role. What role does community support play in the effectiveness of vigilante group in the community?
Yeah, that's what I just mentioned. Volunteerism, the spirit of volunteerism. Without the community supporting the vigilante,
giving that acceptance. I know some people will say, no, they prefer the police force to handle situations because they're not sure, these vigilante groups. So if you do not have the support of the community saying, oh my goodness, they're doing an amazing job, let us contribute and ensure that they have the nice, better uniform or something. If it's not there, how would you perform effectively?
Yeah, you need to prove your worth. Market our skills. And when your skill, your product is good, people buy into it. It's the same thing with the vigilante. If you do your job very well, you don't need to solicit for arms. They will voluntarily give you because they know what you are doing. You are doing the job that is meant for Nigerian police. Why do we need the vigilante when the police are there? Just think of a country of about 230-something million, or well over 200-something million population as at August. And we have just like 370,000 policemen. How, my sister, how can they do the police job effectively? They need backup, they need support. And that is why the Vigilante Group of Nigeria is out there to give the security agencies the needed support they need so that we can cooperatively carry out policing our community so that we can sleep with our eyes closed. You know what these boys, these criminals does. If an incident is taking place in your estate or your community and you call police and the stations, they are far off, maybe that station has just one patrol vehicle. Maybe they are about some kilometers away. Before they get to your place, it will take them like 20-30 minutes. Having criminals in your domain for 20 minutes, my sister, you know what it will cost. But if your community has an arrangement, the vigilante group, they can swift into action immediately before the police will give them the needed backup.
Now, how do vigilante groups address issues of discrimination or bias in their policing practice? Because definitely you swing into actions before some law enforcement agents, and you swing into actions when there is a high tension of insecurity in a particular place. And of course, definitely these security agents will think that you're trying to take over their jobs. You're trying to be more swift than they are. So how do you handle discrimination and bias compliments that comes from this issue at hand?
Well, if we all do our job individually, the way it is meant to be, there won't be discrimination. Let me start Nasarawa State. The governor came up and said, I don't want tribal vigilante group. Because of that, he gave every tribes a level playing ground to become volunteer as a vigilante. So if you are doing your job and you are not rubbing shoulder with the police, You know that police is your husband. You work cooperatively as it ought to be. Give them the information. They know their job. They know their boundary. You equally know your boundary. If you know what you are supposed to do at a certain given time, and you do it, there won't be friction, there won't be rancor in the relationship. Like I said on the onset, this relationship is just like a marriage of convenience. It's a symbiotic relationship. You benefit, I benefit. You have your boundaries, I have my boundaries. So that is why we continue to enjoy a cordial relationship, like in my community. The DPO is very friendly, is ready to give us any assistance at any time. We call on him.
Okay, let's talk about funds now. How do vigilante groups fund and sustain, and how are they funded and sustained in their community policing efforts?
That is a great question.
I need to ask.
Yes, a great question, because when we started this conversation, I mentioned volunteerism. When I do my job very well, you will be motivated to lend a helping hand.
But you have to prove your worth. Isn't that what you said?
Yes, that is why we have to do it diligently. If I'm securing your environment and you feel safe, onus is on you to lend a helping hand.
But what if I do not want to lend a helping hand?
Yes, that spirit of volunteerism will still keep me on.
For how long?
It will keep me on.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. Okay. All right. Now we're going to quickly go on a very quick break. And then when we come back, we're still talking about vigilante and, of course, community policing. This is Inside Today. Do not go anywhere. The program continues shortly. Stay tuned. All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Inside Today, and we're looking at some very sensitive issues and important issues when it comes to vigilante and community policing. And I'm not doing it alone. I have Mr. Chris Oyakilome here in the studio with me. You are welcome.
Thank you, madam.
All right, we spoke about volunteerism. When you volunteer, even when the onus is on individuals and community to do what they need to do when you do your work really, really well. Now, let's look at another question. What strategies do vigilante groups use to build trust and cooperations with residents in the areas they patrol?
Yeah, we have several meetings with the community where we air our minds to the community. You know, whatever you do in life, once there is breakdown of communication, there will be issues. So letting the community know your challenges, your pains, they are humans. Naturally, they feel for you. In my estate, I happen to be the chairman. At the time, sometimes early this year, 2 persons called me. Said, this money we are paying our security men is too small. It's not enough to sustain a family. Call a meeting. Let's have a meeting. Let's talk. So I was surprised that it's coming from residents. So I called a meeting. They saw the need. It was unanimous that the remuneration should be increased. So once you have in-depth communication with the host community, they will definitely see need to lend a helping hand, what we call allowance.
Right. All right. That's all we can take today on the program Inside Today. Mr. Chris Oyakilome Anori, he is the Special Squad Commander on Human Trafficking and Kidnapping Vigilante Group of Nigeria, VGN. Thank you so much for being a part of Inside Today and giving us your well of experience when it comes to issues of vigilante and what you go through. Thank you. Thank you for all you do and to keep your environment safe.
Thank you, Madam Jumai, for having me here.
You are most welcome. Now, these groups typically focus on crime prevention, responding to emergencies, and maintaining peace within their communities. They often have a deep understanding of the local dynamics and are able to address security issues promptly. However, there are challenges such as ensuring proper training, accountability, and adherence to the law to prevent vigilante groups from overstepping their boundaries. Now, overall, community policing by vigilante groups in Nigeria reflects the community's proactive approach to security issues and highlights the importance of collaboration between residents and formal law enforcement agencies to create safer environment for all. Thank you all so much for being a part of Insight Today. Hope you are well informed when it comes to vigilante groups and, of course, community